Hello, welcome to Keith's Broken Boats. I've got to change this tube stack which runs through the inside of this Bowman heat exchanger, which is fitted to a New Holland marine engine. This is the new tube stack which I'm going to be fitting. If you notice, it's got holes in either end. It's still got a load of tubes that run to the middle, and you've got like those 8 holes in the big main outside tube from one end. So engine cooling water goes into these holes here, passes up the inside of this copper tube and comes out this end, so it's passing across the cold water. There are chambers inside the heat exchanger. Now I've got to cut the old one out, so I'm going to use that angle grinder. I'm going to cut off this end plate here, and then once I've cut that end plate off, I should be able to slide all the tubes out. So I've just got this angle grinder and I'm very carefully just going in behind that end plate, cutting off the end tube plate so that I can get all the inside of it out. That's the end tube plate cut off. You see the tubes that run down the inside of the heat exchanger, and they just slide out. Raw water goes through these tubes. This is like the equivalent to air going through your radiator, and then the coolant water at the engine passes over it, which cools it. Now what I'm trying to do is just collapse the outside of the main sort of brass tube that it all runs in, because it's seized into the aluminium housing. So what I'm hoping to do is, if I can collapse the ends in, that should free it off, and then I should be able to slide it out. So just going around it with a chisel, carefully knocking in those ends, trying to make sure that I don't damage where the cast cap hose fitting that goes over the end of the heat exchanger. I don't want to damage that face. And that's the heat exchange, that's the pipe, outer pipe of it starting to collapse. Collapsed it even more in here. I haven't done much to this, I haven't damaged this face much, that'll all clean up. Now I've collapsed that, hopefully it will start to move and I'll be able to slide it out. Okay, now it's started to move. I've sort of got it out this far, and now I can get a slide hammer down in between those holes connected to it and crack it out. And this is it now, it's all cracked free, sliding it out. You can see like the rust on the inside of it. That's partly because the engine wasn't run with antifreeze, so obviously the cooling jacket, it causes this corrosion to build up, and that's what seized it in. So this is it out now. You can see how much of each end I've had to collapse to break it free. These are the tools I've used: slide hammer, grips, chisel, angle grinder, just to get that out. And there you can see the internal chamber on one end. That lines up with 8 holes. And then you've got the internal chamber on the other end, and that lines up with the other 8 holes. And water is pumped through the middle of the tube stack. So now, after I've cleaned it all up, I'm going to gently slide that new tube stack down into the heat exchanger, lining it up with all the guides in there, and into those chambers, and that just slips in nicely all the way home. And pick the heat exchanger up, put it on the bench, and there you go. You can see the end of the tube stacks poking out either end. There's seals that go on there, but on this one end you can see that like bubble or burr of solder where it's been put together, and that end cap won't fit over that solder. So what I've got to do is get a piece of coarse emery paper and just gently wear down that bit of solder enough so that I don't make it leak, but that end cap fits over it. And once I've done that, put the rubber seal on it, load of sealant, and then I'll bolt the cap on. Right. Do that to both sides. Get this bad boy back on. Because these are steel bolts going through an aluminium housing. There's some more in copper slip. An anti-seize compound. Just sort of to help if they've got to come out again, which I expect they will at some point. They weren't too bad getting them out. All bar one. One had to have a bit more persuasion than the other. Put some copper slip. Just spray them all up. The thing to do is if I get it into position, rest it on top of there. Get one bolt. Slide it through there. Get that somewhere near started. Quite heavy really, since it's aluminium. That's a start. Bought out. Won't do it any favours, will it? That's there. Exhaust gasket. Down. There. Another bolt. Exhaust gasket's just disappeared. One of those jobs where you could do with another pair of hands really, but there's not much room in here to get to it if you have to work on it. Start. And we're away. Just get a couple of turns on that. Not going to go mad. Need to be able to wriggle it around to get all the rest in. So, a couple of turns on that one. And that's the front half fine. Got to try and get the back gasket in. So we've got to get a bolt and slip that in there like so. And that one's away. Slide that bolt out. And the gasket's dropped into place. That one's in. And the washer's still there. That one's in. That one's in. Okay. And yet, just so that it's touching. I think a couple of these have a bracket for this heat exchanger, the two brackets there. I'll get that in a minute. Just want to get this nicked up. I'm not so happy with it. and it's all tightened up, I'll whip out the last 2 bolts. And slap that bracket back on it. Okay, that's the heat exchanger on. Now then, this heat exchanger, which has had 2 brackets, by the way that is supposed to sit on there where it fell off, I'm envisaging that was one of them, and that's got to be the other. So we can drop those back into place. So it's these 2 bolts here. Slip that in there. Slip that in there. Make sure that one stays up there. That one started. That one in there. And that one started. So, this is the transmission cooler, another heat exchanger. This one is raw water. Okay, Jubilee clip time. Okay, just before I put all these hoses on, I've just got a piece of emery tape. Just going around where all the hoses are going to be tightened up onto those pipe fittings, just to clean all any sort of debris off so that they seal and I don't get any water leaks from any hoses. And get this raw water hose back on. I'm going to go water to this, it's just because it's there. And it's asking to go back. So it's back on now. There's a good nip on there. Just check the other end as well. Lovely. And there's the new bypass hose which I've put on it. That one's the ratchet. This hose clip here goes on the end of that heat exchanger. I'm going to back this one off. I didn't actually undo this to take this off. It just sort of fell off. So, put that a bit looser. So we can get it on better. On better than it was anyway. There, that's better. If I bring that right to the end of that, because there's not much looking at the end of that. So if we get that right to there. Now whiz it up. Hopefully that'll be a bit better. Better than it was. I was trying to make things better. I'm going to get mad. Don't want it to pop off again. Lovely. Okay then. This hose here. And from there to there. So I need a Jubilee clip. That fits. I need another bit of hose as well. There's a little bit of hose. There's the other bit of hose. Goes on there. Leak for it. A good idea, wouldn't it? Move away. So that's that one there, that one there, that one there. Oh, that's tight, that's tight. That's tight. Those two bolts have got to be tight. This pipe here, which is the raw water out of the engine. Get that one on. Raise that up. 8mm socket on that one. Bit more robust Jubilee clip. Okay. Yeah, slip that over there first. Slip that over there first, so I can have a bit of a grunt. It's always the problem when you get 90-degree bends in a tight area. There we go. Whoa, comfy. If anybody stood outside this boat, they can hear me talking to myself. They think I'm absolutely nuts. Okay, that tube stack that's in there is an expensive, about 1,500 quid. So, there's a lot of work in it. All those tubes, machine caps. It's a Bowman heat exchanger. Don't know if I've said that before. Probably putting it in the title anyway. Lovely Jubilee. Okay then, got to get an extension to do those two bolts up. Now I'm going to whip that end off of here, so I want to see if there's any debris in there. Or stones, I suppose. Pull that off there. Aha, look at that. Water snails. Bit of crap, but it's mainly just on the outside. Nothing to lose if we sleep over. No, it won't anyway. Bring that back round here. And again, shove it right on. Doesn't really give you much space at the end of that heat exchanger to get a Jubilee clip. But it's there. It'll work as long as I can keep it all together while it gets its initial nip. And then when it hits away once again. I love it when a plan comes together. Okay, that's it. Got to get an extension. Do these two bolts up. That in it. Like that. That's nice. One more. Incorporate torque wrench. Click. And again. Click. And again. Click. Job's a sausage. Okay, exhaust. Exhausting. Aerosol cover slip, that's a luxury. 916 3/8 drive socket. A bit smaller than that half-inch drive one, which means there's space to get it in. That one didn't look really good. That's better. Don't really want to cross them. Steel bolts into aluminium. Soon as the threads out. Marvellous. Okay, let's fill it up and see what happens.